Happy Valentine's month, everybody. I'm the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to share with you some of my favorite Valentine's Day episodes from TV shows or even movies. Not everything is all lovey-dovey. Sometimes Valentine's Days deal with heartache and everything. So, some episodes will be romantic and lovey-dovey, while others will be very sad and heart-wrenching and stuff. But love is love. It doesn't always come with smiles and giggles and glee. So I'm here today to talk to you about Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue episodes Ocean Blue and Neptune's Daughter. I think that's what it's called. I decided to combine both of these mainly because they're two episodes that are separate, but they combine to one another because it's a continuation of the other. And so, and since they both have that romantic theme, I figured might as well, you know what I'm saying? Now, when it comes to Lightspeed Rescue is one of my all-time favorite Power Rangers seasons from the Fox Kids era. I'm not sure how old I was at the time. I might have been a teenager and stuff. Yeah, because Time Force and Wild Force came out, and I went to college during Ninja Storm. So yeah, I was a teenager in high school when this came out. And so, I remember I have fond memories of this because I remember the promo happened during Lost Galaxy, and they all the Rangers are headed back to Earth and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wow, they're back to Earth already. They left Miranoi or something. And so the suits look cool and everything. Then when the show started, I'm just like, hey, who are these people? I kind of assumed that it might have you had Turbo and In Space with the same cast, the different costumes. I thought, okay, maybe the Lightspeed, the Lost Galaxy people probably decided to, head back to Earth for whatever reason. And, we're going to get the Lightspeed stuff. But no, this is a completely different cast. I was like, oh, man. Because I was starting to really like the Lost Galaxy cast. It took me a while to like them because I remember I was pissed when it wasn't the In Space people. So then after this, I started getting the idea, oh, okay, every season they're going to change up the cast. And I really like the Lightspeed Rescue cast. I love Lost Galaxy. But I don't particularly like all the characters, though. That's the thing. I love the series. Some of the characters are cool, some are not. But when it comes to Lightspeed Rescue, I pretty much like everybody and stuff. I do think Joel is way too cocky, but I like Joel and stuff. And also, Joel, the dude who plays him, he's gonna be the next guest on Power Rangers Playback. So I can't wait to see that. That man is still acting till this day and everything, but I've never seen him in nothing. He doesn't star in anything I watch. And so when it came to Lightspeed, I remember thinking to myself, wait, hold on. Are they actually Power Rangers or not? How come they're not doing Power Ranger-ish type stuff? A lot of their stuff was more mechanical and they had to build it themselves. And I was just kind of wait, hold up. The scientists building people on Earth, giving them their powers? I thought that everything supposed to be tied into the morphine grid and stuff. But then later on, when you get into Neptune's daughter and stuff, the Zords transform more in a very traditional Zord CGI-ish background type way. I'm like, okay, this makes more sense. So it's even though the people of Earth made all the Power Rangers stuff for them, they actually tapped into that of the morphing grid, so that was kind of cool. And there'll be other Power Rangers series similar to that, especially in the Disney era and stuff. And so this is a Chad-centric episode, which I like Chad. Chad's a cool character. The Lightspeed Rescue characters, and they're really underrated. Nobody really ever talks about them, but they were so cool. You gotta remember, they were actually recruited and stuff, to be Power Rangers. And that, to me, sometimes is more special than, the magic like finding you, or you stumble upon like the morpher and then become that, you know. And plus, with this series, we got our very first American Power Ranger created, the Titanium Ranger, which is still awesome to this day, I remember. But I didn't know he was American made. I was all like, why did he leave the series and stuff? And then I found out why later on. But the cast is and the characters are really cool. They're very underrated in my opinion. And Chad is one of the nicest Power Rangers like ever, you know. And he was like to me, he was a step up from Kai. 'Cause Kai had a cocky little attitude and stuff, especially towards Leo. And I never liked that about Kai. So I always never really felt like a Kai type fan, you know. Like the actor Archie's cool and everything, but I was just never a Kai fan. So coming in with this, you know, Chad was like really cool. And, you know, I remember what's so great about these two episodes is that Kelsey is in it, not as much, but you know, she's kind of like his little buddy, you know what I'm saying? Because when it comes to Chad, him and Joel like hang every now and then. They're like buds and stuff, but he thinks Joel is so cool. But then him and Kelsey just like little buds, you know what I'm saying? It's really cool to see those two interact, and they always had more scenes together and more solo episodes together. I always thought they was gonna push them in a relationship, but they never went that far. And so, like, what's unique about this episode is that Chad falls for a mermaid. Now, right off the bat, I don't like mermaids, period. Why? Because they're half people and half fish, and I don't like fish. But the actress playing this mermaid lady, whew, she is hot. Okay, she is like hot. Her name is Walton, and she was actually the voice of the Psycho Yellow Ranger and stuff. And you know, I remember when they only shown her once, and like as in her civilian form as Psycho Yellow. I was there like, I don't know who this woman is, but y'all need to have her more on the show. And so, like, after I watched this episode, I mean, one time, like, I was like tonight, so I was like, trying to see if I could find like more about her and stuff, and I found an interview with her on YouTube. I didn't even know this YouTube channel exists. The dude, like, he interviews like former Power Rangers, wrestlers, cartoon voice actors and stuff, and they had an interview with her, and I found out some very interesting things about this episode that I never knew about, because it's not on the fandom page at all. So, like, it starts off, right? It's the mermaid, and she's swimming underwater. Her name is Marriott, I think. Oh, totally forgot. It's Marina. That's it. I was always like, that's a weird name. Like, why give her a name like that? Kind of like the foot soldiers are named Batwings, because they're bats and they have wings. Oh, the 90s. And so I remember seeing this, and it's a very beautiful scene. Like, the water was just like gorgeous as she's like swimming through it. And I remember thinking to myself, where is she at? Like, is she really underwater, or is she like in the pool? She can't be in the pool, because if she is, like, how they got all that sand in the coral and everything like that? Turns out Saban flew her to the Bahamas. Yes, that man paid no expense, even though he's very stingy with his money, but he went straight to the Bahamas, because apparently the water is very clear over there and you can see better when you film under it and stuff. So she said like she got this because she knew how to swim very well, and she had to get like certified in snorkeling and stuff like that. And it turns out that like that giant tail, I mean, that giant tail looks so rubbery and leathery. I'm just like, it looks like she can barely move in it. And she said it was like pretty much like a toll on her, you know, because she was in the freezing waters all the time. And that has to suck, man. But talk about dedication, because in this first episode, it's all really underwater and stuff. And she's constantly like in the water. And so she's like, you know, she's swimming. Oh, no, wait. I'm trying to think. Is it this episode? Or is it? Yeah, she's swimming, but then at some point in time, we see her chained up, and she's been captured somehow. Like somebody literally chained her. And so Viper shows up and she frees her. I think it was probably Viper. No, it couldn't have been Viper that like captured her because the bad guys can't go underwater. If they touch water, then they pretty much just I don't know what really happens to them, but they just can't touch water. I know that. And so um she's talking to what's his name? I know it's Diabolico's the gold one. Who is the other dude that's kind of blackish with the horns? Ooh, I forget his name. Anyway, so she's talking to him and everything, and at some point it cuts from the intro. Man, I love the intro. The intro is great. You gotta give it up to the Fox Kids intro, man. Those were some good intros. The Disney era has some good intros too. The Nickelodeon ones, they're hit and miss. And I consider Hasbro to be Nickelodeon as well. So Hasbro, Netflix, Nickelodeon, I always combine those just as one. But man, those Fox Kids one, man, it was just awesome. And so, they're at the beach and it's Chad and, it's some jerk guys. They're like eating and talking really loud and they're throwing their trash all like in the water. And we see the mermaid lady, she's like picking up their trash, and then we see Chad get on to them and everything, telling them like to stop that. And so of course they're being even ruder and like little punks that they are and throwing more trash in there. So he gets on his little boogie board thing. Is he on a boogie board or surfboard? I think it's a surfboard. And then he gets up and he does like a back spinning kick, and it's so powerful. It like shakes the pier and everything. I was like, oh come on, man, that's too powerful for him. He ain't got his powers. He ain't even transform. And so she's very impressed by this and everything. And the little punks, they decide they're gonna clean up the ocean as they should. And like, when it comes to him, the dude who played Chad, first time I saw him was a kid. There was this really interesting martial arts show on Fox Kids. They used to come on Saturday mornings. And it was just like these people who compete, and it's like they live and breathe like martial arts, and then like and they're like good versus evil. I forgot what that's called, but think of it as wrestling. You know how wrestlers take it, their characters so serious that are like, man, I'll kill for this championship belt, and they'll literally kill you for it. That's how this martial arts show was and stuff. And he was the person on there, I remember. And so when they're back at the aqua base thing, I always loved that base. That was a very unique design. It was a very unique base of operations, because when it comes to Power Rangers, for many years it was just the command center and then the power chamber and then the Astro Mega ship. But this was like something very, very unique, and it was underwater of all things. And so, it's a whole lot different in like the Disney and Nickelodeon era, where it's just mostly just like a building or like a high school or something like that. And but this was like really awesome, and so they needed him to go in the water and fix a cable that some rocks knocked over and split or something like that. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, yeah, he's probably like your best swimmer, but he doesn't know anything about like having to fix like mechanical stuff or engineering type stuff. But hey, he is the main star, so and you know how they don't ever use extras that much. So like whatever, you just have to roll with it. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to Captain Mitchell, I've always wondered, how did he get that scar on his face? I think it's the actor's scar, but it makes him seem more rugged, you know what I'm saying? And he was always a cool dude. And I remember, I've already reviewed this episode, a Modern Family, a Christmas episode. He's the guy with the Joe DiMaggio baseball card he was going to give Phil. And Manny got scared and tased Phil when he tried to tase that guy. And the guy wanted his butterball turkey and stuff. And so Chad's under the water and he fixes the cable, but then some rocks fall, knocks him in the head, and then Marina like saves him and stuff. And he doesn't see her, but like, 'cause he's knocked unconscious. But the team's all like, he's been down there too long, and they're starting to get worried. And Carter's about to go down there and get him and stuff. And so she picks him up the best she can and like has him kind of like rise to the top. And so they rescue him and stuff. And so we can see her like, swimming away. And so when he's telling the team, like who rescued him, he just said it was a woman. And they look at him like he's crazy. They're all like, nobody else was like down there because they're like at the very bottom of like the ocean. And so he's not sure what he saw. So I think he's like, by this time he's at the beach and he's by like the sand. He's just like looking out, and he's just kind of like, he's looking in the oceans waiting for her and stuff. At some point in time, she goes down in like a cave, which the actress said that was one of her favorite parts of the film. And it was with Viper. Well, I miss Viper. Viper was cool. The actress was cool too. I loved her voice, man. Like her voice was just something else. And it says a Viper was a cool henchwoman. Like I missed, man, you have no idea how much I miss those female like hench people Power Rangers used to have. When it came to Nickelodeon crap, I don't think they had a single one. I don't believe they had hench women, but they was like they're monstrous looking forms from the Sentai, and it's like, nah, man, change that up. Go back to the old thing. But that's the Sentai's fault. The. Has changed it up. The Sentai is getting more and more sillier looking, it seems, and stuff. Especially the monsters, man. They're like really silly and stuff now. So anyway. She gives the mermaid lady something to give to Chad. And so when she gives it to him, like, 'cause she talks to him and everything, and the whole time Chad's talking to her, he doesn't know she's a mermaid because he's never seen her tail, I don't believe. And nothing in his mind is kind of like, hey, why are you always in the water? How come I don't ever see the rest of you? And stuff. And so like she gives him the gift, and it kind of like immobilizes him and has like a chain wrapped around his body. Then it comes the bad guys. It's Viper and it's like the bat wings and stuff, because there's no monster of the week. And so the mermaid lady, she's all like upset because she didn't know she betrayed him. And then so they tie her up in like a fishing net. Now, this don't make no sense. They're trying to kill her. And how do they do that? By throwing her into the ocean and with a giant like weight ton, a weight that weighs like a ton, and she's wrapped in like the net and chains. And I'm just kind of like, dude, she's a mermaid. She can breathe underwater. That ain't gonna kill her. She'll be down there for years. Ain't nothing gonna happen. She'll probably starve to death and stuff. So he has to get out of there, and this is like the part where I really like. He is determined to save her because he feels this type of connection with her. It's like love at first sight. And it's kind of like the whole, what's that thing called? Is it the Nightingale effect, where you're like injured and then, somebody saves you and you kind of like fall for that person? And so, like, this is kind of weird. First, we see his morpher, his Lightspeed rescue morpher. Then, all of a sudden, in the next scene, it turns into, like, his battle booster. And then, so he presses the button, and it kind of, like, busts the chains free. And then after that, it's back to the morpher. So, that's an editing mistake. And so he goes down in the ocean and like, he saves her and everything. And then he morphs while underwater, but we don't get to see. We just see a glowing blue light. And I kind of like that. It's kind of like, uh-oh, it's coming. A hiney whooping. And boy, he's flipping out the air and he's whooping some butt. Now this dude is a martial arts like guru, man. Like he is like a master and everything. I love the way he does martial arts. And what I really like about him is his war cry when he does it. Because for so many seasons, all you keep hearing is Kia from like everybody. And I was like, I'm tired of hearing that. Like it's pretty obvious they didn't know martial arts when they took the role. And so they learned on like the show from what little they did So it was nice to hear him like change it up. And I wish they would have had more Outer Ranger suit fights, so he can do more stuff. Because I'm pretty sure when he morphed, it was still like a stunt double and stuff. Because their contracts say they're not allowed to fight and stuff. And so, they're fighting and everything, and the Rangers they come and they start blasting, and so like they're helping him, and then they call on their V Lancers, and I love those V Lancers, man. Those things are awesome, and Hasbro needs to hurry up and make them because it's taking too freaking long. Because we are just now almost getting every Actually, we don't even have that many Mighty Morphin weapons yet. We just have like the two Tommies, Jason, and now Billy's and stuff. I better not be no old stinking man. And then they finally get to it. I'll be pissed. I won't even probably be able to lift it up. And so as like they destroyed somebody. There's no monster of the week. So who the world did they destroy? Don't know. Oh wait, they used the V Lancers twice in both episodes. Okay, so never mind. So the blasting and everything, and the whole day it's saved, and I forget kind of what happens next. I know he's out waiting for her again. I believe he talks to her. I can't really remember what. If he does or he does, I can't really remember. But he's just out there waiting. And I love the scenery. It's like this amber lighting because the sun's going down. And, and Kelsey comes up and she talks to him to like kind of like cheer him up and everything. And, it was just like a nice scene. And it was nice that Chelsea has his back, because she feels bad for the dude. So we get into like Neptune's daughter, and we get to meet her dad. Now this was always confusing me. Oh, by the way, the actor who played him, may you rest in peace. He died in like 2007, I think, or 2004. This was always confused me. He's like white, and he's clearly white, but she is not. I'm not sure exactly what she is. When she was in space, I assumed she was like Hispanic or something. But then when we got to Lightspeed, she looked Asian to me. So I'm not really sure. And I'm still not really sure. But I always thought that was weird because like her dad is clearly like white. I'm just like, y'all couldn't find nobody to match her skin tone and stuff. And so like she misses Chad and she tells her dad that, and he's all like, y'all know y'all can't be together and stuff, and you can't be like, on the ocean and stuff, not the ocean, but on the surface and everything. And so at some point in time, Diabolical has taken back over. He has been resurrected, and Olympus, he is badly injured. I forgot what injured him. Because I know in the Ocean Blue one, after that was Trakina comes back. So at some point something happens and he gets injured. And so the one dude with the who looks kind of like a bat and has glasses and has the cool sounding voice, he is trying to nurse him back to health in secret and everything. And so like Diabolico, he wants Neptune's trident, and so they're all like, they can't get it because like, they can't go in the water. So, but they have one demon that can actually go in the water. So they summon him. And it's interesting because Neptune, his home is an abandoned, sunken pirate ship. And so that's kind of like really cool, I really like that scenery. Now, sadly, the underwater stuff is not as good as it was in the first part because Saban ain't flying nobody to Bahamas this time and everything. He got them on the sound stage, and you can tell because everything looks different. It's basically so they could talk to one another, and they can do a couple more action scenes. So they're like in a stage set. There's probably like a green screen or something, and they have her like on like wires and stuff, I think she said. in a harness. So she's talking to him, you know what I'm saying? And then she had already left. And so at some point, um, Monster comes in, steals the Trident. And I forget what exactly happened. Oh, Chad is still waiting for her and everything. So he's back at the beach now. Apparently he's there every day looking for her and stuff. And all of a sudden, here she comes up with legs and everything. And because apparently, she can only stay on the surface for like a short amount of time. And she got legs, boy, I tell you that. And so she walks up behind him and she says his name. So they must have chatted in the last episode. And she talks about how, like, her dad needs help and stuff like that. And so, like, as they're like, so he's gonna help her because he's a Power Ranger, he's a superhero, that's what you do. And so when they're running, and all of a sudden, SpaghettiOs, she's drying out. And so here comes the bad guys and everything. And he morphs. And it's a beautiful morph. It's a running morph. And it lines up perfectly to the actor's body. I love the CGI on that. So he's fighting and everything. And the Rangers come to help. And then so he has to get her to, like, salt water and stuff. So he takes her to the Aqua base and everything. And so when the Rangers show back up at the Aqua base, she is really sad or sick and she's dying. And, Miss Fairweather, she doesn't know how to like help her because she's a mermaid and stuff. And we finally get to see Miss Fairweather again. So that's kind of cool. But she only has like a brief scene. And so at some point she like, no, wait, I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Yes, I am getting ahead of myself. Okay, so before this happens, the Rangers show up and they help. And so they're fighting the monster. And they call their V-Lancers again. They blow the monster up. Then Viper comes in and being her mean little self. And so talking about how she wants like the trident and everything. Because apparently all the water is getting sucked up from like the world. Because, Neptune is able to like, control it and stuff like that. And when he doesn't have his scepter, his trident, then he can't do that. So she makes the monster big, the trident gets all big, and they call on I think it's the rescue Megazord. No, the Omegazords, I think. Is it? No, it's been a good while. I just watched this, but I kind of forgot. Stuff. My mind's all over the place from other stuff I've been watching. And so, because I was excited, because that one YouTuber had like 3 of the female hench women on there, and also Trakina. And I was like, wow, 3 villains all at the same time. And I was watching like half of them, and I'm like, oh no, I have to record. And so, whatchamacallem? So, they fight like, the monster, and they whoop his butt. And then they take the trident, and then they go back to the water base. And then this is when she's dying, and then Neptune comes up and out the water, but like it's CGI water, and I gotta say it's pretty good CGI water compared for that of a cheap kid show. You know what I'm saying? So that was some nice CGI, and he takes his trident, and then he takes Marina back with him and everything. Now all the water is back. Now one lady can wash her hair. Now there is a scene, I forget when this happens, when Chad is looking through like the window and he can see the mermaid lady and they like touch the window, like touching their hands together and stuff. And then sadly, we see him again out at the beach. And his team is with him and they decide to come, but they're in the Jeep. And Joel's all like, he can't wait out here forever for her because, he told her when they was talking at one point, he wants to be with her. He cares about her and everything. And she's all like, they come from 2 different worlds and they can't be together. And, and he just like wants her so badly, because he's never had a love interest in this show other than her. And he's an extremely nice guy, and so I don't know why he doesn't have nobody, you know. But that's the Power Ranger formula for you gotta be single. And so like Chelsea goes out there. Oh, Kelsey goes out there, and she talks to him and everything, and she's giving him once again words of comfort and everything. And you know, I just love how she always has like his back and everything, you know. And then so at some point she leaves them, and then the mermaid lady comes on the ocean, and he's all like, "What are you doing here?" You know, they like it's like a beautiful thing. She's risking her life again just to be with him in just this short amount of time, and he keeps talking about how like you know, he always knew he would find the perfect girl, but the perfect girl he just can't have, you know, and it sucks. And so he's all like, you know, you can't be on the ocean, but hey, we can go in the water. So they hold hands and they just run out into like the beach, ocean, and you see like the sun glistening and everything. They're running into the sunlight, and they just like jump into like the ocean, and they're just splashing around, and it's just a beautiful moment. Like this episode, these two episodes together, it feels more like a 80s movie, kind of like Splash, or at least a Disney movie or something like that, you know, like Little Mermaid. And it's like really cool what they did and stuff. And I don't even think there's a mermaid in the Sentai for this. I don't think there's no counterpart. So it was like a cool, you know, American made like story for Power Rangers. And I missed those, man. Because now with the new stuff, a lot of times it's just straight from the Sentai and everything. Especially with Megaforce. Now, wasn't that romantic? Or depressing, depending on what kind of video I just talked about. Okay, well, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And bye.